Hello everybody, and welcome to this specimen investigation video at the California Academy of Sciences. My name is Alex. I use he and him pronouns. Before we start talking about the specimens that I've laid out for us today, let me ask you this question. Have you seen an animal like this before? What about this one? Maybe this one? Have you seen these animals before in nature? Maybe at a zoo? Perhaps even in your own home? Well, all the animals that I've just showed you belong to a group of animals called arachnids. Arachnids belong to a larger group of animals called arthropods, animals with exoskeletons and jointed legs. You've probably seen some arthropods around your home, or perhaps in a park, or even on your walk to work or to school. Now, many arthropods are familiar to us, but the types of arthropods, arachnids, that we will be talking about today, are quite specific and have many distinguishing characteristics that set them apart from other arthropods, and we'll go over them right after I show you some of the specimens that we have today. Now, this first one is a pretty familiar one. So, can anybody see what kind of animal this is right here? This is a black widow spider. Now, spiders are pretty unique in terms of arachnids in that almost all species have venom and can spin silk. Now, depending on whether this is a spider or a tarantula, they'll be using their silk for different purposes. Spiders use their silk in order to capture their prey, so they will spin webs or create webs in order to help them catch other types of insects, mostly flying insects. Whereas tarantulas, they don't hunt using webs. Instead, they chase down their prey like other typical land predators, but they do use their silk to line their burrows, where they will rest and perhaps even wait for their prey. Now, the second specimen is quite a lot bigger than the black widow spider. This right here is a scorpion specimen. Now, what are the distinguishing characteristics you can see with this scorpion specimen right here? I'm certainly noticing its big claws and that really large stinger behind it. Now, scorpions will use these claws to grab onto their prey, and once that prey is secured in their grip, they'll use that long stinger in the back to inject venom in order to incapacitate that prey. And once it's stopped moving, then the scorpion can eat it at its leisure. Now, scorpions are also pretty unique in the arachnid family in that they glow in the dark underneath ultraviolet lights. I highly recommend going online and watching videos of scientists using portable UV lamps in order to find scorpions, because they glow a bright neon green when ultraviolet radiation hits them. We actually have an exhibit down in our aquarium showcasing exactly that. So I highly recommend checking that out. And finally, we have our third arachnid specimen for today. This one's not as common as spiders or scorpions, but it is quite special all the same. Now, this is called a vinegaroon, or a whip scorpion. Now, can you see where it gets its name? If you take a look at those large pincers at the front, they do look like the pincers of a scorpion, and it does have a tail in the back, though not a tail like a scorpion's tail. This one is long and thin, hence the name whip scorpion. Now, instead of venom, what this scorpion has at the base of its tail are two glands that secrete a type of solution that's like vinegar. And this vinegar-like solution is quite smelly, and it will scare off any potential predators that come a little bit too close to this whip scorpion. So it's a nice defensive mechanism that helps prevent predators from eating this scorpion. Now, these types of vinegaroons can be found in certain parts of Europe and Australia, so we won't see them here in the Bay Area, but they're pretty special nonetheless. Now, there are many different types of arachnids that I didn't show you today, such as ticks, or mites, pseudoscorpions, perhaps even camel spiders. Many of the arachnid species are a little bit too small for us to see, but that doesn't make them any less special. In fact, there are over 100,000 estimated species of arachnids, but almost half of them are spiders, and about 50,000 of them are mites. So they encompass a wide diversity of the arachnid species, and they can be found all over the world on all continents except for Antarctica, though perhaps there is a spider out there somewhere in the research bases down in Antarctica. Now, you might be asking, what are the differences between spiders and other arthropods? Well, why don't we go over a couple of key characteristics to help us distinguish arachnids from other arthropods. Now, the first way you can distinguish the two is by looking at the number of body segments on each. Now, up on screen, we have a picture of an arachnid and a picture of an insect. Now, if you take a look at the insect picture over here, you'll notice 3 distinct body parts: a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. Whereas if you take a look at the arachnid, you can only see 2 distinct body parts. The first one is called a cephalothorax, and the second one is also called the abdomen. In some arachnid species, the cephalothorax and the abdomen are fused together, so it's a little hard to distinguish both. But if you see 3 distinct segments, then it is most definitely not an arachnid. Now, another way that we can tell the difference between arachnids and other arthropods are by the number of legs. So arachnids have 4 pairs of legs on their body, while insects have 3 distinct pairs, and other types of arthropods like myriapods, such as centipedes and millipedes, have many more. Now, in addition to these 4 pairs of legs, arachnids also have a couple pairs of front appendages. In many of these species, these front appendages have been adapted into leg-like structures, or, to give you a more concrete example, the scorpion's front appendages have been transformed into those large grasping claws you see right there. Now, another way to tell the difference between arachnids and arthropods are by looking for any antennae or wings. Now, arachnids don't have any antennae or wings, which many arachnophobes are probably thankful for, but they do instead have sensory hairs all along their bodies. Antennae in insects help insects sense the world around them, so instead, spiders have many sensory hairs in order to feel the world around them in a different, but also quite useful way. Now, arachnids have been on this planet for millions and millions of years. In fact, the oldest arachnid specimen is a scorpion fossil, dated to be about 435 million years old. The oldest insect specimen is only dated to be about 400 million years old. So, the scorpion specimen, scorpion fossil, is a full 35 million years older than that insect fossil. So they've been around on this earth for a really long time. And their closest living relatives aren't, in fact, insects, but a different type of arthropod. This one, right here, is a specimen. Does anybody know what kind of animal this is right here? Might be a little hard to see. Now, this is a horseshoe crab. So, arachnids are more closely related to these saltwater creatures than insects and other arthropods. You can kind of see a little bit of a similarity between the two. They both have chitinous exoskeletons. But other than that, they look pretty alien. though scientists have determined through genetics that they are very closely related to one another. Now, why are arachnids important to us? Well, for one, they help balance the environment that they live in by being both predators and also decomposers. Predator-like arachnids, such as spiders or scorpions, help balance the amount of prey species in an environment, allowing for new plant growth to be unmitigated by many of those pest species. Now, decomposers, like opiliones or the daddy longlegs of arachnids, will help recycle nutrients from many plants and animals that are decomposing and help those nutrients become available to other plants and other animals to help them grow and recycle them. Now, arachnids are also important for us humans as well because, more specifically, of their venom. Now, spiders have many different chemicals in their venom, and certain chemicals that might be used to paralyze an insect for feeding might instead be used in a different way in human medicine, perhaps to help relieve chronic pain or help treat certain types of neurological diseases. So many of the chemicals in spider venom is still a new research field. So we want to help protect these spiders so we can learn more about them, so we can use their venom to help us humans. And finally, spiders and other arachnids are pretty hard to spot in their natural environment. So we might not know how many new species there are in any given environment. We're always discovering new species of arachnids every single day. And so we want to help preserve the environments that they live in, and so that these new species of undiscovered spiders can be there for scientists to eventually discover them. And who knows, perhaps a new type of venom will be used to help human medicine, or perhaps we can find a new species that help regulate different types of pest animals. The possibilities are quite literally endless. Well, hopefully you learned something new about these wonderful arachnid animals that I showed you today. And if you want to come take a look at many of the specimens that you've seen in this video in the Academy, you can come over to the Naturalist Center, which is on the 3rd floor across the catwalk. And if you come into the Naturalist Center, someone like myself can help you take a close look at not only these arachnid specimens, but many other types of specimens found around the Naturalist Center, such as mammals, certain types of shellfish, and even some fossils. All right, folks. Well, once again, thank you so much for watching this specimen investigation video. My name is Alex, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you very much.